Your brain is not broken. It is doing exactly what it was designed to do, and that design is costing you everything. The same neural wiring that kept your ancestors alive on the savannah is quietly sabotaging every financial decision you make today. This is the wealth code. Stay with me through this entire video, because later, I am going to show you a specific cognitive pattern that wealthy people use to override their biology. Most people will never hear this framed this way. Most people will stay broke because of it. In 1979, two psychologists ran an experiment that should have rewritten every economics textbook on the planet. Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky gave test subjects a simple choice. Option A, a guaranteed $500. Option B, a 50% chance to win $1,000, and a 50% chance to win nothing. Mathematically, those choices are identical. The expected value is exactly the same. But here is what happened. 84% of people chose the guaranteed $500. They left real money on the table, not because they were stupid, but because their brain experienced the potential loss as roughly twice as painful as the potential gain felt good. That ratio, 2 to 1, is not a quirk. It is a law of human psychology. And every bank, every insurance company, every credit card issuer on earth has built a billion-dollar business on top of it. You have been told that financial failure is a discipline problem. That broke people lack willpower, or ambition, or financial literacy. That is a lie, and a profitable one. The truth is that poverty and financial paralysis are, in large part, a neurological problem, one that was baked into the human brain before money even existed. Your brain was never built to build wealth. It was built to survive. And in the modern financial world, survival instincts will keep you exactly where you are. Kahneman and Tversky called it loss aversion, the principle that losses feel psychologically more powerful than equivalent gains. But this is just the surface. Go deeper, and you find status quo bias, first documented formally by William Samuelson and Richard Zeckhauser at Harvard in 1988. Their research showed that people will actively choose to do nothing, even when doing something would clearly benefit them. The brain perceives change itself as a threat. Staying put, even in a bad situation, registers as safe. Now layer on the availability heuristic. The brain judges the probability of something happening based on how easily it can recall examples. Every person you have ever heard of who lost their savings in a bad investment, your uncle, a news story, a cautionary tale, those memories are stored like alarm bells. But the thousands of people quietly building wealth through calculated risk? They are invisible. They do not make headlines. So your brain does not count them. Then there is what neuroscientists call the amygdala override. When you perceive financial threat, an unexpected bill, a market dip, even just an unfamiliar investment, your amygdala fires before your prefrontal cortex has time to reason. You feel fear before you think. That is not weakness. That is ancient wiring designed for a world where hesitation meant death. The problem is that hesitation in the modern financial world does not save you. It bleeds you slowly. Here is the part that does not get said on mainstream finance channels. The financial industry is not neutral. It is not sitting there waiting for you to make rational decisions. It is actively designed, at an architectural level, to exploit your loss aversion. Consider overdraft fees. Banks like Wells Fargo and Bank of America have historically structured overdraft systems so that the largest transactions process first, draining your account faster, triggering multiple overdraft fees instead of one. This was not an accident. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau documented it. Banks collected over $11 billion in overdraft fees in a single year. They are not profiting from your mistakes. They are engineering them. Consider the insurance industry. Kahneman himself noted that insurance companies sell peace of mind, which is really just a product that monetizes loss aversion. You pay premiums for decades on policies you statistically will never need at full value, because the alternative, losing everything, feels unbearable. The math rarely favors the customer. The psychology always favors the seller. Consider how the media covers markets. Every crash gets wall-to-wall coverage. Bull runs get polite mentions. Your availability heuristic is being fed a diet of financial horror stories, and then you wonder why you cannot bring yourself to invest. This system does not want you financially paralyzed by accident. Paralysis is a product. And you are the customer. Retention peak. But here is the part that will actually change how you see money. We talk about risk aversion like it is something to overcome. Push through the fear. Be bold. Take the leap. But that is not how the wealthiest people I have studied actually think. They do not fight their loss aversion. They redirect it. Here is what I mean. A person who understands wealth psychology does not ask themselves, how much could I gain from this investment? That question activates hope, which is emotionally weak. Instead, they ask, what is the cost of not doing this? What do I lose by staying still? They deliberately invoke loss aversion in the opposite direction. They make inaction feel dangerous. They make the status quo feel like the riskiest position in the room. When Jeff Bezos left a six-figure Wall Street salary to start Amazon, he used what he later called a regret minimization framework. He asked himself, when I am 80 years old, will I regret not trying this? He did not reframe the risk as small. He reframed inaction as the larger risk. He weaponized his own brain against paralysis. The insight is not that wealthy people feel less fear. It is that they have learned to aim that fear at the right target. First, they separate emotional risk from calculated risk. This is not a mindset poster phrase. It is a daily cognitive practice. When an investment opportunity arrives, the untrained brain floods with feeling, excitement, dread, doubt. Wealthy thinkers have a habit of physically pausing and writing down the actual numbers. Not the story. The numbers. This engages the prefrontal cortex and partially overrides the amygdala response. It is neurological, not philosophical. Second, they deliberately seek out stories of asymmetric wins. Remember the availability heuristic? The brain believes what it sees most. Wealthy individuals curate their information environment so that examples of calculated risk paying off are visible and frequent. They are not being naive. They are retraining what their brain considers normal. Third, they redefine what safety means. Most people define safe as keeping money where it is. High net worth individuals define safe as money that is growing faster than inflation. In their mental model, a savings account with 0.5% interest is not safe, it is a slow loss. That single cognitive reframe changes every financial decision that follows. Fourth, they use pre-commitment devices. Behavioral economist Richard Thaler, Nobel Prize winner, documented how people who automate investments remove the decision entirely from the emotional moment. The money moves before the fear can vote. This is not discipline. This is architecture. 1. Run a loss audit, not a gain audit. Sit down this week and calculate what financial paralysis has already cost you. Not what you might gain by changing. What you have already lost by staying still. Add up the years of compound interest you did not earn. The raises you did not ask for. The business you did not start. Make inaction expensive in your mind, because it already is expensive in your bank account. 2. Create a October 10th, 10 decision filter before any financial choice. Ask yourself, how will I feel about this decision in 10 minutes? In 10 months? In 10 years? This technique, developed by strategist Susie Welch, forces temporal distance on emotional decisions. It pulls you out of the amygdala moment and into the prefrontal frame. Most fear-based financial decisions cannot survive the 10-year question. 3. Build what behavioral economists call an implementation intention. Do not say I will start investing when I feel ready. You will never feel ready, that is the biology. Instead, say, on the 1st of next month, I will move exactly this amount to this account. Specific. Scheduled. Automatic. Research by Peter Gollwitzer at NYU found that implementation intentions increase follow-through by up to 300% compared to vague goals. 4. Audit your information diet for loss bias. For 30 days, track how many financial success stories versus financial horror stories you consume. If the ratio is skewed toward horror, and it almost certainly is, your availability heuristic is working against you. Actively seek out documented case studies of calculated financial risk that paid off. You are not looking for inspiration. You are reprogramming what your brain considers probable. Your brain was built to keep you alive, not to make you wealthy, and until you understand the difference, someone else will profit from it. Every financial decision you have ever made, every time you pulled back, every time you played it safe, every time you watched an opportunity pass and told yourself it was too risky, your brain was doing its job perfectly. The problem is the job description is wrong for the world you are living in. The first step is not courage. It is understanding. You cannot fight a system you cannot see, and now you can see it. If this shifted something for you, subscribe, because tomorrow we go even deeper. Next, watch our video on why the middle class is psychologically programmed to avoid the exact habits that would move them out of it. The mechanism behind that one will surprise you. This is the wealth code.